Beneath the murky waters of the Mara River, where light barely reaches the bottom, silent eyes watch every movement. No sound, no warning. But here, unexpected encounters between the two most powerful creatures of the water occur regularly as part of the natural rhythm of life. On one side is the Nile crocodile, a master of ambush, surviving through millions of years of evolution. On the other side is the hippopotamus, a herbivore with incredible strength, controlling the river with its defensive instincts and solidarity. When one side specializes in attacking, and the other is ready to defend to the end, who is the creature that holds the real power in this river? Is the silent predator or the giant herbivore the true king of the Nile? Let's find out. In the wild heart of Africa, where rivers are shrinking under the scorching sun of the dry season, a life-threatening crisis is brewing. There, the Nile crocodile, seemingly weak in the water, prepares to slaughter the hippopotamus, a slow-witted creature that is extremely determined when threatened. Both possess traits that would make any creature powerful. The hippopotamus can create a powerful impact with its stubby body and its steel-like fangs. This is not just a territorial attack, but a ruthless battle between two symbols of power in the wild waters. When the dry season sets in, thirst grips the land. Resources dwindle, the ground cracks, and the river that once provided life becomes a thin trail of stagnant water. And that's when the delicate balance between species begins to collapse. In the Luangwa River Valley, one of Zambia's harshest wildernesses, the sweltering heat of nearly 40 degrees Celsius makes even the wind burn. In that stifling space, the fight for survival quietly begins. Despite their plump appearance and slow steps, hippos are not gentle creatures. On the contrary, they possess extraordinary strength, weighing up to 2.5 tons, with sudden and quick reflexes and an extremely alert personality. On the surface of the river, no one dares to underestimate them. Even crocodiles, who hunt silently, usually keep their distance. But the dry season does not allow such distances to last long. As water levels drop and territories overlap, predators and river rulers are forced to confront each other. The master Nile crocodile, who lurks in the water, has long been a symbol of power and danger. But when the remaining waters are shared with hippos, a clash between the two giants is inevitable. With each passing day, the sun scorches the dry riverbed, pushing every living thing to its limits. Migration, endurance, or fierce competition are the last options for survival. As the heat persists and riverine vegetation dries up, even large creatures like hippos are not immune to the consequences. Some weaker individuals begin to succumb, collapsing silently, not because of the confrontation, but because nature is too harsh. However, in the cycle of nature, the end of one species is an opportunity for another. The Nile crocodile, with its tenacious survival ability and extremely efficient digestive system, quickly approaches that unexpected food source. They do not need to hunt, do not need to ambush, just wait. Thanks to being able to digest large amounts of food at once, they can live for weeks, even months on a single meal. With a bite force of up to 1,800 kilograms, equivalent to the pressure from a car, they possess one of the strongest bites on the planet. Unlike predators that prefer to chase, crocodiles choose to ambush. They quietly lurk under the water, almost motionless, only to suddenly burst out like a lightning strike, locking their prey in their steel jaws. Once the victim is firmly held, the crocodile performs the death spin tactic of shaking itself around underwater with a powerful twisting force, causing the prey to lose direction and quickly collapse. Despite being giant creatures that dominate the water, both crocodiles and hippos have one weakness in common. They are completely dependent on a wet environment to survive. For hippos, their thick skin is not enough to protect them from the harsh sun. If they are not immersed in water for at least 16 hours a day, their skin begins to dry out, become damaged and susceptible to disease. That is why during the dry season, they are often seen crowded together in the remaining pools of water that are a suffocating life, but cannot leave. More than just a shelter, water is also the hippo's only survival shield against the brutal heat of the tropics. As one of the oldest living creatures, the Nile crocodile has remained virtually unchanged for over 70 million years. This is no coincidence, the result of a near-perfect evolutionary process. With a powerful tail that accounts for half of its body length, crocodiles can accelerate in water at up to 30 kilometers per hour, faster than many land mammals. In the murky environment of rivers and lakes, where all movements are obscured, they are like living arrows darting without warning. Not only that, their special lungs allow crocodiles to dive deep and hold their breath for up to 2 hours. This ability makes them perfect ambushers, silently hiding close to the shore, just waiting for the opportunity to attack any creature that comes near, be it antelope, buffalo, or even a creature much larger than that. In the murky waters, where every ripple can conceal an attack, silence does not mean safety. The masters of ambush, the Nile crocodiles, are still lurking close to the shore, and this time, they are after a much weaker target: newborn hippo calves. Baby hippos are the most fragile creatures in this ecosystem. As soon as they are born, they have to learn to suckle underwater, hold their breath in time with their mother, and always cling to their mother's massive body like a lifebuoy. They cannot swim far on their own, are not aware of the threats hidden deep in the water, and each day of existence is a silent struggle, not with enemies, but with the harsh environment around them. The mother hippo, who already weighs more than 2 tons, now has the additional responsibility of being a living shield for her calves. Although slow, each toss of her head, each warning roar carries strength and uncompromising determination. The Luangwa River, once a lifeline for both humans and animals, is now a fragile boundary between 2 worlds: the wild and the riverside communities. As the dry season drags on, the water recedes, animals retreat to the remaining pools, while humans still have to travel, fish and survive, forcing them to share that space, albeit at great risk. Locals often have to cross the river in small boats, only strong enough to hold a few people. But they are entering the territory of one of the most fierce defenders of their living space, the hippo. Although they do not hunt, hippos have extremely strong defense instincts, especially when they feel violated. A sudden lunge from underwater, combined with a bite from their 50-centimeter long fangs, can shatter a fragile wooden boat. In such a situation, the chance of escape in the deep water full of crocodiles is extremely slim. Every river crossing becomes a gamble, where humans not only face harsh nature, but also giant creatures that are being crushed by the pressure to survive. As the riverbed dries up and the old water is no longer deep enough to protect their skin and body heat, the hippos are forced to move. It is a grueling journey that lasts for days, through cracked, muddy, and dangerous stretches of river. Despite their clumsy appearance and large bodies, hippos on land are a big surprise. When necessary, they can run at speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour, faster than a professional athlete, surprising anyone who has witnessed them. However, the journey is not easy. When they reach a new watering hole downstream, the hippos face another challenge. It is too crowded. The small space is now chaotic, as dozens of hippos jostle, fighting for the few shallow spots to cool off and rest. With no other choice, the herd continues on their way. Their survival instincts told them that if they did not find a safe place, their skin would crack, the heat would rise, and their lives would be threatened by the hour. Along the Luangwa River, which was shrinking by the meter, they continued their relentless journey, a silent but vital migration. In general, male hippos have high levels of testosterone, but this is not the only factor that can make them deadly. In addition, they also have sharp teeth. When they close their upper and lower jaws, their four thick canines rub against each other. This friction can help keep the canines sharp. The two lower canines can be up to 50 centimeters long and weigh 5 to 6 kilograms. The 8 incisors are relatively small, but they are also very dangerous. The hippo's lower incisors are very special and grow horizontally. When the hippo opens its mouth to attack, the lower incisors can stab into the opponent's body like a dagger. Hippos do not use their canines and incisors to chew food, but use them to fight. With their fierce temperament and sharp teeth, hippos can cause very serious deaths. They can even bite the Nile River in half. However, Nile fish also have a unique body structure. The Nile is covered with a layer of scales. The scales are made up of a large number of scales. The main component of these scales is keratin, which has the same composition as human fingernails. There are many V-shaped sensory organs with black dots on the scales at the core of the Nile. Their sensory ability is many times more sensitive than human fingers. Therefore, this scale armor not only protects well, but also helps Nilea feel the slightest noises around. In addition, the nostrils of Nilea can open and close at will. Their facial skin is very special. The scales on the face are formed by cracks in the skin, like a piece of cracked earth. This division is formed during embryonic development. During the embryonic development of Nilea, as the skull develops, the facial skin continues to expand until it splits. Therefore, each Nilea species has a distinct facial scale morphology. Nilea fish have a bony scale crest protruding on the back. This rigid back structure can prevent damage to internal organs. Nilea's scale armor is both sensitive and durable, helping them survive better in harsh environments. The dry season looms over the Luangwa Valley like a warning. The ground is cracked, the grass is yellow, and once vibrant streams are reduced to a few deep pools. In this harsh landscape, life between hippos, crocodiles, and humans is becoming increasingly fragile. The line between nature and humans is blurred, as both hunt for the same thing, the last remaining source of life. In many parts of Africa, Nile crocodiles and hippos are the two wild animals with the highest rate of human-human collisions each year. Not because they actively attack, but because humans and other animals are forced to squeeze into the same living space as rivers shrink. When the water recedes, low-lying areas quickly become overcrowded, forcing animals that normally avoid each other to live side by side. In such conditions, a careless move, a boat passing through the territory, a mistimed noise can spark unwanted situations. In the Luangwa Valley, life is not just a miracle, but a delicate balance between environment, instinct, and the boundaries of tolerance. However, the Nileas have survived thanks to their strong bodies and have reached the important season, the Nilea's mating season. When male Nileas courtship, they quickly contract their back muscles underwater, creating a splashing sound. The vibration of their backs in the water creates a spiked wave, which is the first signal that male Nileas use to court. Male Nileas usually reach sexual maturity between the ages of 12 and 16, when they will begin courtship. During courtship, male Nileas become very patient and also show a gentle personality. At first, the male Nileas will quietly swim around the female Nileas, gently touching her body and trying to please her underwater. Then, the male Nileas will patiently wait for the female's response. When the female Nileas agrees, it will raise its head above the water. At this time, the male Nilea will flip the female's hind legs and tail underwater at a certain angle to facilitate mating. During the breeding season, the male Nilea will flip the female's hind legs and tail underwater at a certain angle to facilitate mating. The male Nilea will mate with many females to ensure that their offspring can reproduce in the Luangwa River Valley. However, everything is unpredictable. The Luangwa River can both give birth to life and take away life. The Luangwa River is home to one of the largest hippopotamus populations in the world, with about 25,000. Such a large population of hippos requires a huge living space. The increasingly dry river has long been overcrowded. The conflict between hippos and Nilea begins to become more intense. At this time, a fierce battle can break out at any time. After mating, the female is ready to lay eggs in peace. There is a thick layer of mucus on the shell of the crocodile egg. This mucus is the shell of the fish. There is a thick layer of mucus on the shell of the crocodile egg, which acts as a cushion when the crocodile egg falls to the ground. In the next 2 or 3 months, the embryo will continue to develop in the eggshell. During incubation, temperature is the main factor that determines the sex of the future crocodile eggs. When the temperature is between 31 and 34 degrees Celsius, the male crocodile eggs will hatch. When the temperature is higher or lower than this range, the female crocodile eggs will hatch. Female crocodiles usually lay dozens of eggs and then gently bury them in the grass to isolate them from the outside world. Next, they will guard these eggs day and night. But even so, it cannot guarantee absolute safety for the eggs because enemies are everywhere. The Luangwa River is a paradise for predators. Some predators will turn the warm weather into a favorable condition for hunting. Just like bees smelling the scent of flowers, many animals will flock to the river in hot weather, so this place becomes an ideal ambush place for predators. As the top predators in the water, they will wait for the opportunity and suddenly attack. They will wait, then suddenly attack, performing precise and perfect hunting actions over and over again. The crocodile looks like a torpedo, with internal organs occupying only a small part of the body. Therefore, the entire body is like a solid mass of muscle with great explosive power. The dry season is almost over. Although this lord of the river is still leading his group, their situation is not ideal. Welcoming new life. After 2 or 3 months of incubation, the baby river crocodiles emerge from their shells one by one. Although tens of millions of years of evolution have given them extremely strong adaptability, the newly hatched Nile crocodiles are as fragile as other newborn fish. Although tens of millions of years of evolution have given the Nile extremely strong adaptability, for a new creature so young, this battle for survival will be extremely brutal. As the water level decreases, the situation in the Luangwa River becomes extremely tense. Other male hippos continue to challenge the power of the river lord. In the natural world, a small change can turn an ecosystem upside down. Every year, tons of waste from hundreds of hippos pour into the Luangwa River, which is usually clear and cool. But as the dry season drags on, the water recedes to its lowest levels, and what was once a refuge turns into a thick, suffocating quagmire. For hippos, this is adversity. The accumulated feces quickly deplete the oxygen in the water, making the surrounding air difficult to breathe, and increasing the pressure on the health of weak individuals. In such conditions, just a little imbalance, exhaustion, high temperatures, or lack of shelter is enough to make some individuals unable to continue their journey. However, that opens up an unexpected opportunity for others. Nile crocodiles. With their patient nature and excellent digestion, they don't need to hunt. They just need to wait. When a hippo stops moving, crocodiles take advantage of the opportunity to approach and seek out a valuable source of energy. Just one meal can keep them alive for weeks, while others struggle with heat and deprivation. In nature, where one species slows down, another species advances. In the center of the shallows is a giant 2.5-ton hippo that has dominated the area for nearly a decade. For years, he has been the only one who has controlled access to the cool waters and ideal breeding grounds, and is recognized by the entire group as the king of the river. However, as resources dwindle, younger, stronger males begin to challenge his authority. No roars, no footsteps. The confrontation begins with silent but extremely clear signals. The ruler opens his mouth to nearly 150 degrees, revealing his tusks, emitting a deep rumbling sound that echoes across the water. as the confrontation took place, all eyes began to realize the Lord was no longer at the peak of his performance. A deep wound on his left hip, possibly from a previous collision, slowed him down, causing him to turn around in pain, forcing him to retreat into deeper water, avoiding further exhaustion. At the same time, at the edge of the river, another event was taking place silently, but no less fiercely. An adult female crocodile had just led her young cubs to swim towards shallow water, a place that seemed safer in the midst of the chaos. It made low sounds, like a call that was both guiding and reassuring. However, as the signal spread, other crocodiles came along. Perhaps out of curiosity, perhaps out of a desire to share that rare space. A group of adult crocodiles swam closer, and then ancient instincts arose. In the murky water, a moment of chaos occurred. In a split second, a young individual was pulled away from the group not by an outside enemy, but by another adult of the same species. The mother turned around, rushed forward, opened her jaws wide to chase away the threat, trying to herd the cubs closer to the shore. But the chaos was too fast, too overwhelming. When the water subsided, only 4 young individuals swam close to their mother, their eyes bewildered in the space filled with the smell of mud, the smell of panic, and the instinct of survival. In this world, it is not the strongest who survive, but the most adaptable. And sometimes, to protect one part, a mother has to accept losing the other. Life under the water is dangerous enough, but for newly hatched crocodiles, the danger comes from above. Not only do they have to face adult members of the same species who can become aggressive due to their competitive instincts, the young are also the target of a keen and silent predator, the African sea eagle. When the Luangwa River's fish stocks become scarce due to the prolonged dry season, the eagles, who are master fish hunters, are forced to change their strategy. They start observing the shallow water, looking for small movements. And when they detect a young crocodile separated from the herd, they launch a lightning attack from dozens of meters above. A precise dive, sharp claws gripping the weak prey, and just a few seconds later, the predator has disappeared into the sky, leaving the water as calm as if nothing had happened. The life cycle of the Nile crocodile begins as tiny eggs buried in the sand, but only about 1% of them survive to adulthood. Threats come from everywhere, on land, in the water, and in the air. As night falls, the Luangwa River is quiet, but it is not peaceful. In the darkness, predators move more silently, more decisively. And the female Nile crocodile, an adult used to protecting her young, quietly invades the Hippo's territory. There is only one mudflat left that is moist, watery, and shaded enough to survive. With much of the river dried up, this is the last piece of land that the river lord, the Alpha Hippo, is willing to defend to the end. No more warnings, no more threats from afar. When distance is erased by the need to survive, conflict is inevitable. The female crocodile is the one who strikes first. A sharp dive under the water, straight into the hippo's territory. But immediately, the lord reacts with terrifying force. A loud roar, powerful head tosses and tails, and just a few seconds later, the entire herd of hippos had entered a fierce, instinctive, and chaotic counterattack. While everyone was submerged in the splashing sand and mud, something unexpected happened. In the whirlwind of power and panic, A sharp tail swipe from the leader of the herd accidentally hit a young individual in the herd. A small cry rang out in the chaos, then died down, leaving the herd stunned in the midst of the turbulent mud. All eyes turned to the injured young individual, and in that moment, the enemy temporarily retreated, and the herd of hippos shrank, surrounding the young individual like a silent protective circle. It was a tragedy that no one wanted, but it was the price that nature sometimes had to pay in the endless struggle for survival. The video ends here. Thank you for accompanying us through this video. Remember to like and subscribe to this video for me.